fine. Like, it sounds like pretty good quality audio. On your end, it's not. At least on my end, Rob sounded not so great.
Yeah, we'll make it work. I think he's intelligible. All right, we are live. This came about because I just needed to rant about Beast Wars, and I needed hostages to listen to me rant about Beast Wars, and I figured people that also like Beast Wars might be more amenable to that. So, Skyler and Robb, thanks for joining me. You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Sure. I'm Skyler. He says he's holding me captive, even though I've ranted to him about Beast Wars God knows how many times. But I'm one of Cameron's friends. We're both fellow Transformers TCG players, gone to a bunch of tournaments together, and I have a not as big of an interest in the toy line. I'm interested in them, but not quite as much as Cameron. And that about sums it up.
And I'm Robb. I remember watching Beast Wars on Saturday mornings and still have a couple of trans medals sitting on my table there, even though I was probably way too old to be watching Transformers on Saturday morning when Beast Wars came out.
Yeah, and the reason we're talking about Beast Wars is because we just got the announcement, the official announcement this weekend that via Netflix, basically, that the third part of the War for Cybertron trilogy is called Kingdom, and they said something like join the animal kingdom, or no, you're gonna go ape out or something as part of the kingdom, which confirms the leaked poster. We still haven't gotten official confirmation that this is the poster, but like we're assuming like with 99% certainty that it is. Oh, holy crap, there's a bunch of people in chat already. Hey chat, how's it going? So I guess, yeah, like we're all in that age group where we grew up with Beast Wars. Was Beast Wars your guys' first Transformers thing? Because so from my perspective, I was a Beast Wars fan that found out about Transformers through Beast Wars and a little bit through my older brother. Then I started like enjoying the larger franchise, but I was a Beast Wars fan first. Was that your guys' same experience, or did you know about Transformers before you heard about Beast Wars?
I knew about Transformers to a pretty decent degree, mainly because same with clothes, movies, video game stuff. A lot of stuff from my cousins got passed down to me, so G1 toys were given to me pretty I think just G1. I was going to say maybe some of the later toys too, but they would give me some of their toys. So I was aware of Transformers, but being that the show came out initially when I was 2 or 3, I was fairly young when it first started playing, but I do have a lot of memories of watching it when like staying home sick and just watching Beast Wars when it was on TV, having a couple of them saved on some VHS copies and rewatching those episodes until the tapes degraded. But yeah, it is definitely like the first Transformers series I watched, though I'll admit Armada is the one I paid the most attention to while it was airing, but then on reflection, Beast Wars is one I consistently went back to as I started growing up and had access to decent streaming and DVDs and all that sort of thing to rewatch them.
Yeah, I remember it because I liked Transformers. I'm older than both of you, probably.
I keep forgetting that.
I know I'm older than Cameron. And,
you look so youthful. When we get some webcam footage on, everyone's going to be like, wait, how old is Robb again?
To be fair, I've said the same thing about about my wife Brittany, and Cameron, you can attest. She looks a lot younger than me.
Yeah, I was going to call the cops when I first met her.
That's a running that's a running joke, and that was actually basically what happened when we met. I was like, oh, why is this like 12-year-old talking to me?
Yeah.
You're like, how did this 12-year-old get into this bar?
Yeah.
No, it was at an anime convention.
Oh god, yeah. So a little more plausible, but yeah. So we have this leaked poster, and we someone on Reddit did the hard work for me, and kind of broke it down for us already. So if people aren't familiar with Beast Wars, what it was, we'll get a bit into the history of it. But what we see from this Kingdom poster is that right now 2020 is Earthrise year. We're getting a ton of super, like, for Generations, super Sunbow G1 accurate toys that are modeling the Season 1 Earth modes for characters, as well as they can be. We're getting a couple others like Snapdragon and Double Dealer weren't like major cartoon characters. But it looks like when we transition into 2021, we're going to get a mix of some G1 characters. Like on this poster, it looks like it's Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and RC. And I should say that we still don't know, like, we haven't gotten an official announcement about what the toy line looks like. But if this poster is going to be a toy line announcement in the future, maybe next week when it's San Diego Comic-Con at home, maybe that's when they like do their official announcement. But then the rest of the poster, besides Optimus, Bumblebee, RC, and then Megatron / Galvatron up in the top left, is like all Beast Wars characters. And what I found interesting is it's all Season 1 main cast Beast Wars characters. The only ones we're really missing, like we've got Rattrap, Cheetor, Optimus Primal, Tigertron. We've got Airrazor, which I was kind of surprised she was included. The only ones we're really missing are like what? Inferno. We've got Scorponok, and it looks like we might have Terrorsaur. That one's a really little hard to make out. But like Inferno, Waspinator, and Tarantulas are the only 3 I can think of from Season 1 that are missing off the poster.
Wasn't Inferno a Season 2 character?
Yeah, I was wondering if it was Season 2.
Oh, you might be right. I'm just thinking it was Season 1 because he didn't have a Transmetal mode. But yeah, so like Tarantulas and Waspinator are the only ones that we don't really have included here, which I thought was really interesting. And then we don't have any Season 2 characters. The one that I would think of always is Silverbolt is the first one that comes to mind. And then there's
hold on. No, we were wrong. We were wrong. It looks like Inferno was Season 1, the very tail end of Season 1.
Yeah, I think Season 2, there's nobody from Season 2.
Hey chat, I know I'm not paying that much attention, but appreciate you guys here and appreciate the share, Larkin's Lair. That's awesome. So we haven't got any confirmed information yet. It seems like the line is probably going to be mixed, which to me makes sense from a toy line perspective, that Hasbro wouldn't want to commit to just having Beast Wars toys for a year. They still want kind of the big characters probably represented in the toy line in some way. Would you guys have preferred just like straight up Beast Wars, here's the entire Season 1 cast and nothing else but that? Or are you kind of okay with interspersing some other mechanical characters in between all the beasts?
I think Hasbro are a bunch of cowards. No, I think it makes sense for them to do that. Being that I think me and you have had this discussion before. Beast Wars is oddly one of the most contentious series. Like anytime, I know we've had this particular part of the discussion. Like anytime in the TCG group, people would be like, "Hey, what characters would you like to see?" If they mention a character from any other season, the usual response was, "Oh, that'd be an interesting idea." But if you mentioned Beast Wars, there would always be at least a couple of people whose response would be, "No, Beast Wars can't be in this game. If they add it, I'm quitting the game." So it's definitely one of the most contentious series. So I understand not fully committing to that, because there are people who hate Beast Wars. There's a lot of people who like it, but there are people who really hate Beast Wars over even the Unicron trilogy, which baffles me. I think that it makes a lot of sense, especially because the Beast Wars 25th anniversary is also the same time as the movie's 35th anniversary.
Yeah, 1996. And that's actually a really good point. So Princeton Phalanx in chat, I actually ran a poll to answer that question that you asked, so we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, and then like you mentioned, the next year is the 35th anniversary, and we know that there's leaks about Studio Series moving away from the Michael Bay movies and doing a 1986 movie line. So it seems like even if it'll be majority of Beast characters in Generations, Studio Series is kind of still going to carry the G1 torch, so people don't have to panic all too much about it.
Yeah. Plus, with it being tied to the War for Cybertron trilogy, which I believe the Netflix series has committed to doing the full trilogy, this seems like this could potentially be a reintroduction or a straight-up introduction for people who are not super familiar with Beast Wars, or not willing to go back because of the animation or the reputation or anything like that.
Yep.
Which also makes sense since they've been introducing more Beast Wars characters into other other continuities, such as Cheetor's appearance in the Cyberverse series.
And
yeah, as soon as I saw Cheetor in Cyberverse, I knew Beast Wars was coming, because there's no way they just randomly pull that dude in.
Well, they have done that a couple times in the past, where it'll be like, oh, here's a Beast Wars character or something just in this media. But yeah, it is super exciting to kind of get a bigger commitment to Beast Wars. And then Rob, I guess from your perspective, with what we're seeing in kind of the leaks, the announcement, what we're speculating on, we're going to talk about the Beast Wars like show storyline in a bit. But Rob and Skyler, are you guys expecting? I know a lot of people are worried about this. I saw like posts online about, oh, how are they going to incorporate the Beast Wars storyline into like Siege and Earthrise? And basically, from my perspective, Siege and Earthrise are retellings of G1, so I'm not expecting like Beast Wars seasons 1, 2, and 3 to get exact remakes in this cartoon. I'm expecting kind of a new storyline using the character archetypes that we're familiar with from Beast Wars. Are you guys hoping for that, or are you hoping like just Beast Wars the show again but updated graphics?
I think that just... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think that it could be. I mean, just based on the poster, I think there will be. I think they're going to end up condensing the original Beast Wars, because they have the golden disc on the poster, and I don't know how Earthrise is going to be explained. Like, if they have said that they're going to have the Ark crash a million years ago and they're just going to be in stasis, or if they land in the current day, sort of like the Bay universe movies where they landed on Earth in the 80s and 90s and stuff. And then if they did that, it'd be cool to see them do like a condensed Beast Wars where they actually do end up going through a time warp, where they intentionally go back in time to use the disc to try and alter history in favor of the Decepticons on Earth or something.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a really interesting, like, kind of have the same plot beats, but not be beholden to all the story structure from the first show. Which kind of leads us into what Beast Wars is. And if anyone's out there, because we kind of want to do this podcast because we're all Transformers TCG players, we're all Beast Wars fans, and we know that there's a lot of like G1, hardcore G1 fans, or people who are a little too young for Beast Wars that are less familiar with the series, or TCG players that are less familiar with Beast Wars. So we kind of wanted to give a primer. So if there are listeners out there, thanks again for all the likes and subs. If there are listeners out there who are less familiar with Beast Wars, you may not know this, but the Beast Wars that we think of in our minds as the like G1 or season 1 show is not what Beast Wars originally was. This, for example, is like the Beast Wars, I think they were called Basics. And if you look at this toy line when the first wave came out, we've got Rattrap, we've got Cheetor, we've got Razor Beast here, which was not a character in the show, Iguanas, and then Optimus Primal and Megatron are not their iconic ape and dinosaur T-Rex modes. It's all it's Optimus Primal is a bat, Megatron is an alligator, and crocodile. And I remember because this was a 2-pack of Optimus Primal and Megatron. And when it came out, it was a 2-pack, and it was available, and it came out with a comic, which told the original vision of the Beast Wars cartoon was Optimus Primal was the same Optimus Prime from G1. Megatron was the same Megatron. It was on modern-day Earth, and they were downsizing and fighting for fuel in, like, the jungles, and so that's why they had, like, these beast modes. It's really interesting that they had this kind of first draft idea of the story, and then the show came and did something very, very different. How familiar are you guys with like this weird little part of Beast Wars?
Only loosely. It's something I never invested too much time in because I knew it was a basically abandoned storyline that they came up with and then just did not follow through with, so I didn't take a whole lot of time to invest in it, but I am aware of it mainly because, likewise, I had some of those earlier toys. Weirdly enough, I don't think I owned the Optimus Primal, but I know I owned the Megatron, which was bizarre.
Yeah, I think they released him as a 2-pack with the comic, and they also released them separately. I still have Razor Beast. I still have my Razor Beast. Yeah, and I never owned Waspinator, but I had the Autobot version, Buzzsaw, those were like my two first Beast Wars toys. And I think I rebought Buzzsaw last year, I think, from a local toy shop, just because like that was a big hit of nostalgia for me. I guess from a toy perspective, when you guys were kids, what did you have from the original toy line?
Just original. I know I had Megatron. I had Dinobot. I believe I had Cheetor, but I know I broke him pretty fucking quick. There was one whose name I can never remember. It was like this weird fish bee looking thing, like a flying fish. I can never remember the name of the toy.
Oh my god, I have it in my mind, but I don't know the name, but the image is like in my head. You keep going, I'm going to see if I can find it. Chat, help me.
Please do. I also had one that was a bee. Maybe it was the same toy, but I know I had one that had like the
Injector.
white and black stripe. I can't see where you're. Oh, I gotta switch to here. Yes, that. Okay, it was the same figure. Yeah, it's that guy.
Oh my god, such a monster, such a weird fucking thing.
And I remember at one point, like as the years went on, I lost the body, but I still had the head. Like the head just remained. And I was like, where the hell did this come from? And like it was only years later, it finally dawned on me. Oh, this was a Beast Wars figure that they didn't do anything with.
Yeah.
But.
And that is a really good. I guess Rob, we'll talk about your toys in a second, but that is a really good point. Do you guys? I mean, the line we're assuming is going to be the same size as like Siege and Earthrise, 4 waves of deluxes, maybe 5, probably 4. We'll see. Are you expecting to get much of remakes outside the TV show cast?
I feel like that's going to be pushing it, personally. Though there was something I was wanting to bring up earlier before we moved on about how things might end up happening. I get the feeling just because Beast Wars is time travel based, it's going to, or Beast Wars has a lot of time travel elements in it, and that's a big plot point. It's possible that either they'll come back from the future to whatever the modern, quote unquote, modern day for the Transformers is, where they're having their fight, or they're gonna do what they seem to be doing with the Cyberverse and saying like, hey, Cheetor is not a separate faction or any. They're not really separate factions or anything. They're just strange Transformers that turn into animals, and we're not questioning it. Which might be the better decision to make to not alienate new fans. But to that, I do think that's keeping it with the main cast, not worrying about like the side characters, not really worrying about trans metals, would probably be a good idea, at least for the start. Especially because, let's be honest, the Beast Wars toys were never really that great.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, compared to where they were, like we had bricks that were in G1, and I know, don't get mad. The G1 toys were, yeah, because Beast Wars to me, I mean, I don't know, did ball joints exist before 1996? That was like a frontier-esque technology, razor's edge in toy development.
Okay, well that's fair, but I know that personally, like looking back at old G1 toys, you can still be like, hey, the die, to make a beast, to quote diecast, to quote Beast Wars, diecast construction. It's a lost art. There's a lot of novelty in a lot of the toys. I still think a lot of them look pretty good for what they were, but there's a lot of the Beast Wars toys that look pretty ugly.
Yeah, they're not all model accurate, as a mix of the limitations of toy technology, and they didn't have all the character models done when they, right, like all the original wave of toys had like those weird mutant heads, the mutant mask heads that weren't part of the TV show. What about you, Rob? What toys did you have when you were a kid? Were you too old to get toys at that time?
I've never been too old to get toys.
Good answer.
My wife can attest to that.
I bought my wife toys for her birthday.
I actually missed out on the OG, like, Season 1 characters. A lot of my stuff was, like, Season 2 and Transmetal kind of things. Like, I still have the Transmetal Optimus Prime and Megatron, the, like, Transmetal 1, where it was, like, shiny purple and shiny blue. They're sitting on a shelf here. And I had, like, a ton of the other ones. The only one that I didn't get that I really wanted was Rampage, because I thought he looked really cool. I think the Transmetal ones actually looked much better, which is why when you did that Twitter thing about should they be more mechanical or more organic, I said they should be somewhere in the middle or closer to the mechanical, because they look like Rattrap being a rat the size of a mountain lion is really dumb.
Oh, but he's a prehistoric rat. He was a giant dire rat, right? Yeah, those were a thing.
As somebody who owns a pet, as somebody who owns a pet rat, I am all for our dire rat overlords. Beast Wars is secretly a tie-in with the Warhammer universe. He just turned into a Skaven.
Yeah, but that is a good point, and we'll get to that Twitter poll, because it was very revealing to me. I mean, from the right, if we go back to the poster, it doesn't look like we're getting any Transmetal stuff, but there seems to be a lot of love for those designs, Rob.
Yeah, I think that, like, I liked them, but I think for me it was kind of less of an uncanny valley thing when it came out. I think part of the reason a lot of people were revolted by them was because there was a sort of almost uncanny valley effect of they were going for realism, but they still looked like the plastic. They didn't have fur or anything, and so I think that like kind of threw people off, and that might be why they never clicked with them, because some of the characters are just so well written and fleshed out that you can't help but love like the interaction between Rattrap and Dinobot.
Even though they're the same actor.
Oh yeah, I know.
So he's just arguing with himself in a room.
Yeah, Scott McNeil's just chatting to himself.
He's still one of the nicest voice actors I've ever met, so I'm always down for more of his characters.
Yep, and that is a good point. So if we here's what the show models look like. If we go back to look at the toy line, they had like faux fur sculpting in the plastic. The toy line was trying to be more realistic. In Generations, when they redid. Right, we've gotten a new Cheetor mold in universe. We've gotten a new Dinobot in universe also. We got new Rattrap, Waspinator, and Rhinox, I believe. Those also tried to do like they were a mix of trying to be like more realistic animals, and then later on it was more show accurate. In the Masterpiece toys we've got, which I love. I'm fiddling with Dinobot right now. Let's just listen to a Ratchet real quick.
Give him to me.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
We're gonna have to age restrict this stream, Cameron.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Not for kids. They're going.
Are your videos ever for kids?
No, never. In the Masterpiece figures, they're going for more show accurate, and I'm assuming just like right, everyone loves Earthrise, the toy line, because it's essentially budget Masterpiece. I finally got my hand on the Earthrise Optimus Prime mold. Via the Dead Prime paint job, and like I get what people are saying. They're like, oh, you instead of spending $250, you spend $50 and you get 80% of what the Masterpiece figure is. I'm assuming that's what Kingdom will be. It's like, here is a $30 version of Masterpiece Dinobot, which does almost everything that Dinobot does, maybe simpler transformation, and maybe some parts forming to make things work, I don't know, and not as big, but, getting us close, that sort of thing. But again, we don't know. That's like all baseless speculation based on the one poster.
Yeah.
Going back to the show, what Beast Wars ended up being and what it means to us, I guess, real quick history lesson for anyone who's watching from the TCG or that's less familiar with Beast Wars. Why people should care about Beast Wars, even if it's not their personal aesthetic. You may not know this. I mean, Robb and Skyler do, but you, listener, may not know this. But Beast Wars is responsible for saving the Transformers franchise. Everything that we've gotten since 1996, we've gotten because Beast Wars came out and picked sales up when Transformers was dying, like Micronauts, like G.I. Joe, like all those other 80s franchises. Transformers was dying in Generation 2 in like 1992 to 1994. I think they took the year of 1995 off from sales. They didn't release any new toys or something. At the time, Hasbro, they acquired Tonka, which also owned a company called Kenner, which is, I think now Kenner's been fully absorbed. They're not their own thing. But Kenner was based in Cincinnati, my hometown. and Hasbro moved their Boys Toys headquarters to Kenner in like 1994, 1995 or something. And that's when they came up with the idea of a dedicated Beast Wars toy line. So the fact that we do have Earthrise now is because Transformers didn't die in the 90s like all the other 80s franchises. So just so people know, like, where, like, even if Beast Wars isn't something you personally care about, why the historical context is important. But when the toy line came out, they did a show, and it was, I don't think it was the first CGI show. I don't remember.
Reboot came out. Yeah. Reboot came out before that.
But it's by the same people, right? It's all by
yes.
Mainframe? Yeah.
Yeah, it's still Mainframe Entertainment.
So it's not the first CGI show, but it's one of the first CGI shows. And I still enjoy it a lot. I think when it gets to the story arcs in the later half of season 1, 2, and then seasons 2 and 3, it really picks up. There's some humor in it that, like, I've grown out of. Like the Rhinox episode is the one I'm thinking of. I kind of just skip that one where he gets infected with the Energon gas, whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when he said the Rhinox episode, I was like, there are two possibilities. You're either talking about the evil Rhinox episode.
No, that's one of the best episodes.
Oh, agreed. And it's the only justification we have for beast machines. Maybe we'll get to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so I guess for you guys, from your guys' perspective, for the Beast Wars cartoon, what, like, I guess we can dive in, like, favorite characters, what was important to you, what stuck with you. Like, I've got all sorts of images that we can throw up depending on whoever you want to talk about.
Rob, you want to go first?
Okie doke. Well, first I want to point out that it also won an Emmy for an outstanding achievement in animation.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I believe in 1997 it won the Emmy. So
makes sense. I mean, right? That's groundbreaking technology being used.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I have the same drift to characters that I do in G1, the, like, smartasses and the lovable idiots. So it's like Dinobot and Rattrap and Waspinator.
Yeah.
When you said lovable idiot, my first thought was you were going to say Silverbolt.
No, Waspinator. Silverbolt.
Silverbolt is chivalrous, but he's dumb as.
Yeah, he's dumb as.
I love Silverbolt. I Silverbolt and Blackarachnia storyline is one of my favorite parts.
I enjoyed his transformation, and I thought that was a cool design, as weird as it was, for, like, an animal, because they've done so many things where it was, like, triple changers and stuff, so I thought it was cool that they sort of made it this, like, chimera, like, meat monster thing for some of those guys. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought he was neat looking, but yeah, listening to him talk was just really annoying sometimes. But yeah, Rhinox was okay, but Waspinator was by far the Decepticon I loved, especially when he got possessed by the ghost of Starscream. I was just like, yes, this is all of my worlds are merging into joy now. Oh, and when Ravage came back, the only G1 character to make an appearance in Beast Wars,
and they decided to give him a Russian accent, and that's not true. They do.
And
yeah, Optimus Prime shows up. Megatron, Soundwave, Starscream, they all show up.
They're just
on
dead.
They're dead bodies. They don't count. That's like saying a picture of them in someone's locker was like counting it. No. Ravage really, like, showed up. He didn't just, like, lay there. He wasn't a corpse that they were playing with.
Well, they were in stasis. I wouldn't call that being a corpse, but fair enough.
Actually, we're gonna take it's
comatose patient.
We're halfway through our hour. Let me do one thing really quickly. Let me turn. Oh, you guys can see me. Okay. So we're almost. I don't know if we're at 600 subs or if we're almost there. I wanted to make sure that everyone knew. I'll be
597.
Huh?
597. You're at 597.
Okay, so we're approaching it. So I'm anticipating we'll hit 600 subs this week. So I want to do two quick things when we're halfway there. One is announce that anyone watching, if you've already commented in the chat, great. If you're watching this after the fact, comment in the comments below. Because to celebrate 600 subs, I am giving away a Titan Masters Attack booster box. This is separate from the Extra Life giveaways. If you guys look up above me, you can see the bar. I'm raising money for Extra Life. In the vein of Extra Life, if you go check the video description below, you should see a link to my Extra Life page. I'm raising money for sick kids. In that vein, I've got 2 packages here I want to open up super quick. So one, I believe, here we go. Okay, so super rare wind sweeper, which means that now all of the super rares I have from Titan Masters Attack, I have 1 of each that I am giving away as part of Extra Life. If you do a donation and you put in the donation description Transformers TCG raffle, then you'll be entered in a chance to win a super rare and all sorts of other prizes that are in the Extra Life giveaway. The other thing is I got this box here, which I don't actually know what this is, but whatever this is will be a donation incentive. Ooh, hey, I don't know if you guys can see that, but if there's anyone out there in the Transformers trading card game that likes Cup, which there are those weirdos among us, whatever.
You say that even though you did an entire stream with me just trying to make Cup work.
Yeah, you're a pervert. So we've got a bag of Cup tokens. So this won't be part of the raffle. This will just be, if you go to the page, you'll see on the right-hand side there's donation incentives, which is if you don't want to like be entered in the raffle, you can just pick one of those incentives if you donate the right amount. So this will be listed on there. That's it. Super quick announcement, and we'll get right back into taking my face off screen. There we go. Okay. So we were talking about favorite characters.
Favorite characters.
And Rob, yours, you said Dinobot, Rattrap, Waspinator. And I think it's a general consensus among fans on like who, quote unquote, I'm off camera now, but I'm using air quotes with my fingers, the best characters are. Which those 3 rank among them, but there's so many strong ones in the franchise. Skyler, Dinobot's off the table. We all know you love Dinobot. Besides him...
How dare you? How dare you do this to me? How dare you?
Besides him,
yes.
who's your favorite?
Yes, I know. Dinobot will always be my favorite Transformers character of all time. But, yeah, there are a lot of other characters I like in the series as well, along with the ones that were mentioned. Like, I've never been huge on Rattrap. Nothing against him, just never been one that I'd go to just because out of the Dinobot-Rattrap duo, I always gravitate towards Dinobot. Plus, I didn't like his character as much when Dinobot left. He became a less interesting character to me. But I always liked Rhinox as a very spiritual second in command, even though I don't think he was technically second in command, or at least they never stated as such, but he was one I always enjoyed. Silverbolt, unlike Robb, I really like because I liked his chivalrous personality and the fact that he helped lead to Blackarachnia's best arc of her story. If only they didn't screw that up in Beast Machines. But the one really controversial opinion I have, and I've been flat out yelled at about this one. I prefer Optimus Primal to Optimus Prime. I'm sorry. I always have, just because at least most versions of Optimus Prime, maybe minus the animated one, because he was very willing to like not put up with or he was never willing to put up with people's bullshit. Like when Rattrap was like, "Yeah, you can't tell him what to do," Primal would essentially just look at him and go, "You got about 5 seconds, or I'm going to smack you."
Yeah, so that's a super interesting point. I mean, I feel the same way as you do about Optimus Primal, just because like that's who I grew up with. But in Transformers, the G1 Sunbow cartoon, the power structure, like the military hierarchy, was kind of there. Optimus Prime led the Autobots, and that was never really questioned. Whereas one of the most fun things about Beast Wars is Optimus Primal had to like fend off, I don't want to call mutiny, but like challenges to his authority constantly from everywhere, right? Dinobot,
we'll say insurrection.
Yeah. People did not always agree with him. Whereas I'm trying to think back to, even though, as I recall, weirdly enough, Rattrap was, I think, the 3rd highest ranked out of everybody there, or he was either 3rd highest or he was 2nd highest. I know that he was higher ranked than Cheetor. I'm assuming like it went Optimus Primal, Rhinox, Rattrap, but I don't know how much of that is me mixing up Rhinox and Ratchet's characters a little bit. Because Ratchet,
I
like,
think I think it's also because, like, just as a character, Rhinox tended to fill the role of second in command, even if he wasn't actually second in command. He was just he's probably the most level-headed out of the crew.
Yep.
He's the Ultra Magnus of the Beast Wars.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That second in command, Ultra Magnus, Ironhide, like that kind of position, the veteran. But yeah, like so all three of us love Dinobot. I don't know. Sound off in chat if you are the Beast Wars fan that doesn't like Dinobot. Dinobot and Waspinator are some of people's favorite characters, and if I remember correctly, the first ever Transformers convention fan Hall of Fame vote, when they introduced the Hall of Fame.
It was Dinobot. Yep, Dinobot got the first one.
Yep, before any of the G1 characters, which just shows like the love that basically you solidified the vote. Everyone who liked Beast Wars voted for Dinobot, and then the G1 fans split their votes among their personal favorites.
Yeah.
When you go down the way Dinobot did,
it's worth pointing out when that happened, a lot of people called BS on that, and were like, "Oh, the Beast Wars fans must have hacked the vote," and they refused. There are still people who refuse to acknowledge that happened.
Yeah, no, it's politics, right? You get behind your candidate and you push them across the finish line.
Oh God.
I'm just gonna real quick double down on my nerd here.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're talking about like the personalities and the interactions. I'm going to tell you right now, this is double nerd. G1 is Star Trek: The Next Generation. Beast Wars is Deep Space Nine.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I probably would have gone. I would have pushed both of those back a season and said G1 is the original Star Trek series, in the fact that it's iconic. It's what a lot of people are going to make references. It's the series that people are going to make references to. It's the big one that's in the lexicon. Whereas Next Generation, much like Beast Wars, in my opinion, while a bit of a departure, and I know there are some people who just do not like. There are some people I know who just don't like Next Generation flat out. I think it was better written, had a better overall story, and had better characters.
Well, no, I'm saying personality-wise.
Oh, like, personality. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying like as a series.
Like story arcs and stuff, there was the continual story arc in Beast Wars, like with Deep Space Nine and the War and all, and versus episodic like G1 and Next Generation. And you didn't have people arguing with Picard every like 5 minutes and challenging his authority, which you did on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of a Star Trek fan.
I'll take that. All right. Well, everybody say goodbye to Cameron.
Yeah. Fucking nerds.
Yes, nerds. Like we're clearly not discussing a nerdy topic. Man, fuck you, Cameron.
I told you I was doubling down on the nerd, Cameron.
Yeah,
I told you.
No, I'm sided with you, Cameron. You're outvoted here.
Now, where is my like Transformers Star Trek crossover? They did Star Wars.
That did happen. Yeah, that already happened. There was a
comic book.
Fortress Maximus turns into the Enterprise,
which is awesome, and I hope gets a toy eventually if they're doing all these crossover stuff.
Yeah, they did toys of Star Wars. I want a toy of Star Trek. I want to see each Enterprise changing into like a different character.
What was his name when he turned into the Enterprise? It was it was Tiberius Maximus.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Which, if you're going to pick somebody to turn into the Enterprise, Fortress Maximus is a good choice.
Yeah.
There was one last character I wanted to mention that I'm a big fan of before we switch, which is I've always been a big fan of Tigatron, or not Tigatron. Tigertron. I was thinking Tigerhawk for a second. Tigertron has always been one I really liked because I thought he was very interesting. He had an interesting dynamic to the Maximal side of being the character who preferred to be an animal. He was more in tune with the nature of the planet and wanting to protect the planet itself. He kind of filled a lone wolf role, and I thought he had a fairly cute relationship with Airrazor. And then things happened.
Yeah, that episode where Tiger spoilers, obviously, like we've kind of been. I don't think we've been super plot heavy, except talking about like Code of Hero in references. But I guess from now on, what we're going to be talking about major plot elements and stuff. The episode where Tigertron and Airrazor get kidnapped by the Vok, like that fucked me up as a kid. Because I wasn't like I never watched. I didn't have attachment to G1, so like. I didn't understand like how the movie like Optimus Prime dying like messed kids up, But like Tigertron and Airrazor going away was like, oh my god, these two, like, what happens? Like, is death real? Are we all like impermanent beings that are just hovering towards oblivion? Like,
that's the episode that made Cameron have an existential crisis. Everything is starting to make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then them coming back as Tiger Hawk was like such a cool thing as a kid, and then his stand against the Nemesis. It's not like, story-wise, it does not hold up to some of the better plot lines like Code of Hero or Rampage and Death Charge's rivalry, Transmutate, those stuff. But like the scene when Beast Wars Megatron is getting super biblical and like calling down the fire and brimstone, and then Tigertron like puts his defense up against the Nemesis was so cool, and such a cool way for them to bring things back.
I actually have some moderately fun, quote unquote, fun info about that episode, about the fact that Tigertron would not have died if information had gotten to the creators in time, because they created Tigerhawk, and Hasbro was not sure if they were actually going to do a toy, because they're like, this is kind of a weird character, we're not sure. And as they were working on the later episodes, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do a toy, go ahead and we want you to kill that character off, just in case they have a season 4, because they didn't think it was going to be a important character. But they ended up, as they had already written his death, afterwards Hasbro was like, oh, never mind, we're making a toy, keep him in the show. They're like, we can't, we've already started working on it, he's going to die. I got to mute myself for a quick second.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so that is super interesting. I had no idea. And they've done a couple like weird things like that. Like, what was it? Robb, Scorponok and Terrorsaur died in like at the end of season 1, I think. Like they just fell into the lava and were written off because they didn't want to do new Transmetal 2 molds for them. Bringing it back to Kingdom for a second, I guess, looking at the cast that we have. Oh, hey, Larkin Slayer, thanks for watching, man.
Sorry about that. I the order. The
Arrived.
person bringing my order just called and was like, "Hey, I've got your food." And I was like,
no problem.
I know.
So like going back to Kingdom for a second in terms of like toy line hopes, like Siege and Earthrise have shown us that like they are willing to set out a dedicated number of molds per each way, or like each line. And Beast Wars, I think, is a lot harder to remold than traditional like G1 style Transformers. So what are your bets on, like, I'm assuming that Black Widow and Tarantulas get different molds. In the original Beast Wars series, they were remolds of each other, but I don't think you could do that with any semblance of show accuracy this time around.
Especially because they're both very popular characters. Tarantulas has gone on, taken a life of his own in the comic books. Blackarachnia is a super popular character, for better and for worse, in terms of what the fandom does with that. But
what about like if they're doing season 1, Cheetor and Tigatron?
I was about to say Cheetor and Tigatron they could do with pretty relative ease, because the reason that they picked Tigatron in the first place, because when they did the show originally, they were going to do, I forget the name of the wolf transformer in the Beast Wars toy line. They were going to do that.
Oh God, Wolfgang! It's Wolfgang because it's the
Wolf. Isn't it Wolf Fang?
It
might, maybe it's Wolfgang. There's a wolf one.
Oh, you're right. Wolfang.
Yeah.
He makes me think of the Wolfgang puck though. Keep going.
I like your taste in chefs.
Yeah, I assume he's not in the show because he's busy mastering the culinary arts.
But no, he was going to be in there, but because of the fact that budgets are very tight and every individual model is super expensive for them to make, instead they decided to bring in the Tigatron toy because they could very easily modify the Cheetor toy with pretty relative ease and have a new toy a new character model for something like a third to a half the budget.
Yeah, they essentially upscale the model. What's interesting to me is in Masterpiece line, because I collect all the Beast Wars Masterpiece figures.
We get it. You make money, Cameron.
Masterpiece. What I was going to say is when Masterpiece Tigertron hasn't come out yet, but they've already demonstrated in what they've revealed that Masterpiece Tigertron does, like, it's not just the same Cheetor. It's not a remold. It's also not an upscale. There's differences in transformation scheme between Cheetor and Tigertron to try and make the Tiger mode look, more show accurate, which I think is super interesting. I'd be curious. I think you're right. Like, it's the one place where Hasbro can try and save a little money, because otherwise, like, who do you remold? Like, Rattrap does not get to go to anyone else.
Waspinator. You get all sorts of different types of bees and hornets.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you could, if they're bringing out of cartoon characters, you could do like Waspinator, Buzzsaw. Maybe you could try and remold, do heavy remolding into like Scorponok or something using like, I don't know, probably not. We'll have to see.
That's one of the reasons I think they're gonna have to stick with the main cast, because the fact it is so hard for them to do remolds. With G, I think it's fair to say, like with any of the, say, G1 casts and stuff, there's a lot of easy ways they can do some level of remolding. But with the animal modes, it's a lot harder to do. To have common piece, even just common pieces for them to use partials of.
Since we're talking about the toy line now, because we got about 12 minutes left.
Oh, also, Brittany is here. Hello, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany.
Cameron says hello. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the poll I ran when the leaked image first came out. We saw it, on Friday or Thursday last week?
Thursday, I believe.
So we came out, and someone on Reddit, P Daniel 1990, I think, it was interesting because we approached this topic from two different ways. I came in from the assumption that everyone who cares about Beast Wars will want Season 1 accurate Generations figures. He thought, and I think in chat, was it Jay Holler or someone else posted the same question, which is, will the aesthetic of the characters be changed in Beast mode to better match Siege and Earthrise? Will we have more mechanical
Cameron, just one quick second. I want to let you know you now hit 600 subscribers.
Oh, hey, yay! Woo!
I'm glad I got to be the one to tell you this.
Awesome. So in like RID 2015 and Cyberverse, we have mechanical beast modes. I wanted to pulse the fandom and see kind of what people thought. I ended up getting 73 responses, and it was basically split down the middle. Like, we're looking at it now, 49, and organic beast mode was in the minority, which was surprising to me. Based on the poster, I think we're getting organic. We obviously don't know. But in terms of fan preferences, like, it's very split down the middle. And I think both of you guys lean towards the mechanical side. Correct?
I lean more towards organic personally, especially if we're talking the Season 1 cast in their Season 1 modes, because they only really became more mechanical post Season 1 when Transmetals came into play, when Primal kept getting new bodies because he keeps getting injured, and bringing in characters like what's his name, Depth Charge, who have some more mechanical aspects to them. It seems like the original cast in their original bodies would stay fairly organic. If they decide to expand this to some more transmetal characters, I think that's where they could bring in some of the more techno-organic beast modes. But I think that organic's going to make more sense without doing a heavy redesign.
Yeah, I like the way the toys look as mechanical, just because it's so weird. Like, they just look so weird when they're the fake biological, like the molded on fur and the paint and everything. And if they have that's why I think that's probably also another reason why I have still got transmetal characters, but I never got any of the first wave of characters, because it just, as far as just making a toy goes, I can't imagine if they made Rampage look like a crab that was more organic, even though that would probably work. But something like Rattrap looks much better in his transmetal form, and especially in robot mode, it's much easier and probably cheaper for the toy to be made looking like that and look good in its alt mode. I feel like the MPs are the only ones that look good in their alt modes in a old school, original Season 1 Beast Wars look.
Yeah,
I do agree. I do think there's a good point there about the fact that the fur is going to be the hardest, whereas the more insectoid or reptilian forms I think will look fine. It does seem like fur is something that Hasbro has had a habit of struggling with their molds in the past.
Yeah, I think
Just glue some of that old G.I. Joe fuzz on there.
No, the best way they've done fur has been, and I'm curious if, from an engineering perspective and like an operations perspective, if it can be done at the scale of Generations. So Masterpiece, Optimus Primal, I've got in front of me. He has, well, why not bring the webcam back up? So, Optimus Primal here shows like, that's not in focus. They did like a wash, essentially a print of fur, like texture. It's essentially his, let's go to him super quick. So like the CGI fur in the show was just a texture on top of a body. There's no actual fur because that technology didn't exist yet. That would have been way too hard to render. So they just did a texture print on his plastic. I'm super curious if Hasbro is able to successfully do that at the scale, right, of Generations. Because I'm assuming Generations sells like 20 times, 30 times, 50 times more figures than Masterpiece does. It also needs to stick to a certain budget. So the fact that if we go back to the Kingdom poster, like that's an organic looking ape down there. It's all organic looking. I'm super curious to see if they'll be able to successfully do things to make them look good, because it looks like they're going to go season 1 accurate. I'm curious to see what the toys will end up looking like, and I'm hoping we get some San Diego Comic-Con reveals.
I think that the bigger concern is not going to be whether they can do the printing on the plastic to give it that textured look. I think the bigger concern is going to be, can they do it without the risk of it chipping like crazy? Because the Masterpiece ones don't chip very badly. And
people are more careful with a Masterpiece figure than they would be with a Generations figure.
That's also true.
Yeah, I fucking beat the shit out of my Generations figures.
Yeah, if you beat the shit out of your Generations figure, then sure, it's going to probably chip anyways.
I gotta show them as the big man on campus.
But the question is, are they able to do it in a way that it's not going to get all scratched up really quickly from even just casual handling? Because you're not going to be able to do a super thick, consistent coat. You're going to have to be fairly careful about that. So it might be more to their budget to do the unfortunate like fake fur actual texturing.
Yeah, like kind of on Masterpiece Dinobot, which looks way better for like lizard skin than it would on fur.
Yes, 100% agree, but it might be more to their budget to do just like a fur texture on the actual plastic itself as opposed to the paint. I don't know, but we won't know until stuff gets revealed. But that is going to be the most difficult part they're going to have. Is I think that the reptilian stuff is going to look fine. I think that the insectoid stuff is going to look fine, but the more mammalian stuff, such as your Cheetor, Tigertron, Rattrap, I was about to say Rhinox, but Rhinox really doesn't have fur. But Primal and all those, I think that's where we're going to see possible issues. Maybe Airrazor too, because that's feathers as well. And feathers could actually look worse than the fur, depending on how they do that.
Yeah, I'm super curious. And I guess talking about the toy line, we got a little bit of time left.
We should probably talk about the card game.
Yes. Before we leave the toy line, I think like I haven't gone completion on a line since Titan's Return, because Titan's Return did the dioramas that I loved building those. I might go completion on Kingdom. Robb and Skyler. I'm assuming Skyler, like you'll get the characters you like. You'll probably get like Dinobot, things like that. But I'm assuming you won't go completion. Robb?
Cameron, I've gone completion since Wave 1.
Have you?
The only one I haven't finished completing is this current set with the secret rares, just because we haven't been able to do tournaments as of late. We've tried scheduling a few, but I haven't been in a big rush to do that.
No, I'm talking toy line.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I thought we were talking the card game still.
Yeah, toy line, I'm assuming you're going to get like Dinobot and other characters that you're particularly attached to, but you might not get Terrorsaur or something.
Yeah, nobody cares about Terrorsaur.
I care about Terrorsaur. I don't care that much about Terrorsaur.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't lie to me, Cameron.
Robb, where you sit at for Beast Wars toys?
I mean, 100% Rattrap, Dinobot, Waspinator, probably Megatron and Prime, just because of being Megatron and Prime. But it also depends on what my kids like, because if they like stuff, I'll end up picking up a lot of the little things and the weird guys and stuff, because I'm sure there'll be some like random garbage, like junk filler type guys who are the like Micromaster style ant swarms or some crazy shit that they'll like throw together for the smaller price points.
Yeah.
Well, bringing up the Megatron actually raises a good point. So the poster shows Megatron and Galvatron, correct?
Going back to it, it shows G1 Megatron on the right, Galvatron on the left. There's a hint that behind Galvatron is Beast Wars Megatron, but it's so blurry we can't make it out right now.
Yeah, that's the question. Are they going to put 3 versions of Megatron if we're considering Galvatron the 86 version and not the separate character version?
Oh, God,
are they going to put
know.
3 versions of Megatron in the same toy set? Yeah, if so, that would be the story point is Galvatron, Megatron, and Megatron teaming up. I forgot what Megatron's name was before he took the name Megatron, except make my life a lot easier. But maybe that'll be some of the story plan. But otherwise, that seems like that's going to be a lot of Megatron.
The nice thing about Megatron is he's always got such distinct designs that, like, maybe this Megatron becomes like a jet G1, the G1 version, because we've gotten tank modes. Maybe this one's a jet. Galvatron gets his like movie accurate version or whatever, and then we get a T-Rex. So like, yeah, it's 3 Megatrons, but there are 3 very different Megatrons. Whereas if it was 3 Optimus Primes, they're all trucks.
Well, Earthrise, the box shows Galvatron floating in space like he did in the movie. So I'm wondering if like the end of the Waves of Earthrise coincides with Unicron being released next year for the people who backed him, and then Galvatron becomes the Megatron. Yeah, and the Galvatron, it becomes Megatron turning into Galvatron, and that's why the other reason I thought about time travel, because it would be interesting to see them cross paths with previous versions of Megatron and Galvatron and stuff as they're like altering time.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some precedents for stuff like that, especially from the Beast Wars Uprising comic of I was going to say Depth Charge, I think. They had a version of Depth Charge from a different timeline come to that comic book timeline and be like, yeah, everything's messed up, this isn't how things should be. So Beast Wars especially has a habit of messing with a lot of time travel, parallel universes, stuff like that. So it wouldn't be against brand for them to do that with those characters.
Also, it would explain why the Dead Prime is called Alternate Universe Optimus Prime, even though he is very obviously the corpse from the movie.
Yeah. Okay. We got a little bit of time left. So if you guys are here watching because you're Transformers fans and not necessarily Transformers TCG fans, just to reiterate, Skyler, Robb, and I are all competitive Transformers TCG players. The trading card game is kind of following the toy line in a pattern where we got Siege as 2 waves of trading cards. Right now we're getting Titan Master's Attack as an in-between. We haven't gotten any official announcements, but we think Earthrise will be next, and then either following that will be Kingdom or a filler line and then Kingdom. So right now we think Kingdom would be a release sometime November, October of next year in the card game. We don't have a ton of time to speculate, and I don't know how much value there is in speculating, but let's hear from both of you guys. What do you think the card gimmick will be involving Beast Wars characters? And then pitch me 1 Beast Wars character card. You can't call Waspinator. Keep going.
Damn it.
I mean, I've already discussed Dinobot, but I don't want to do that a second time because me and you have discussed him.
Well, you can discuss it for the audience. That's perfectly fine.
I'm not going to waste my 1 on that.
Okay, fair enough.
Dinobot gets the Dinobot tag. That's it. That's it. I'm not touching any further than that. Fight me.
So what's your character?
Oh God, Rob, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll say Rattrap. I think that I think the gimmick could be that they're strong, low star cost cards, or even like Micromaster size, because they are all smaller significantly than their G1 counterparts.
Physically, yeah, according to the scale of the show. Yep.
But not on the poster. On the poster, they look about on scale, and with what they've been doing with the Beast Wars characters as of late, again, like in the Cyberverse, they're more up to scale with everyone else, which is a little strange.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I like the idea of like, Rob, are you saying like you think it would be kind of cool if the majority of the cards were all the same size? Like instead of having a couple small character cards, it was mostly smaller beast cards and then a couple bigger cards.
I assume that they're going to have bigger characters in there just because of so many people going, well, I'm not going to buy this set if it's Beast Wars. So I think they'll have like your primes and some of your other characters.
That is the exact voice I imagine when I read those comments.
Yeah, so either that or they talk like this and it's inappropriate. But
You're starting to turn into Mr. Burns.
But I think that like they will probably do something like that. I think it would be really cool. I was just saying it'd be really cool if we got characters that finally did like built-in tribal support, so it encouraged you to use the same tribe more than just a battle card you may never see from your deck. So it would be cool to have like someone who does something for like beasts get +1 when they're in alt mode or whatever. I think it would be neat to have them be like smaller, allowing you to make wider teams and have unique abilities for themselves, but that also mesh with the other ones, because it would be good to just have some fun where you can actually have a tribe go together and not be planes or cars.
And then what would Rattrap do as a card? Would he, like, maybe he kind of... So I could see Rattrap do two things. Would it be funny if they did a joke where he had similar abilities to, like, RC, because RC is his aunt? Or would he rather them go into his, like...
I hate that so much. Stop.
You know what? I think because he's a demolitions expert, they either do something with weapons or with him destroying, like if he flips and you discard a card, you destroy an upgrade on a character and they take 1 damage or something that.
Yeah, he could pitch a weapon, like it blows up or something, but it gets to do like ping damage and scrap upgrades on someone else or something. That'd be kind of interesting. Skyler, do you have one, or do you want me to go next?
Go ahead and go next. I've got a couple I'm thinking real quick, but it's a couple of them I just keep thinking of and going like, no, that's dumb.
So my mechanic is based on the cartoon, which was when Beast Wars characters came into the setting. I won't spoil what it is, but when they came to the planet, it was filled with crazy amounts of energon. The radiation from the energon on the planet was so high that it was damaging their robot modes, and they had to switch back to their alt modes to protect themselves. So what if Beast Wars characters got very, very strong robot mode abilities, maybe some really good stats in terms of attack and defense in robot mode, but at the end of turn, they'd auto flip back, or maybe at the beginning of the next turn, start of turn, they'd auto flip back into beast mode. So it's a character that has some sort of good ability on robot mode, has good stats in robot mode, but you know that you're kind of taking up more flip economy as a trade-off than your standard Transformers TCG character. For a character card, what I would love would be a Waspinator. That Waspinator gets blown up a lot in the show, but he always comes back. I love a Waspinator that when he dies, when he's KO'd, you can flip him in a different modes on both sides. I could say the same thing or whatever. But if you spend your transformation action on him that turn, he can come back in play with 1 health remaining. So it's like an I still function. He won't die at the end of the turn, but the penalty is every one of your characters takes a damage. So it's not something that you can use to bring him back infinitely. Eventually, you'll kill yourself by bringing him back, without thinking about it. But it's a way to keep like a wider team than you normally have access to. I mean, those are obviously like top of the head pitches, probably not balanced at all. But I think those would be cool mechanics that reference things about what the show did originally.
It'd also be cool if you could take a damage instead of flipping back to beast mode.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was thinking too, is the fact that they hurt themselves doing that. So maybe they have the big stats, but they start taking damage if you keep them in bot mode, because making them automatically flip would trigger flip effects, because we have a decent amount of stuff that says like when you flip, draw cards.
That's a really good point. You pay a health penalty to stay in beast in bot mode, which would let you play more than one beast character together. You know that their health's going to get drained if you don't flip him, but that way you can't like play Dinobot and then you have to play two regular or G1 characters because you know Dinobot's going to take your flip every turn.
Oh my god, what if they give them beast mode instead of alt mode?
Hey, Collector75, how's it going?
I think keeping the alt mode would be fine, especially because we have the beast tag.
Yeah.
Though there was the debate of should they all have the beast tag or should they have stuff like giving people like Waspinator and I know they're not insects, but Tarantulas and Blackarachnia the Decepticon tag just to give some legacy support as well, and possibly have some weird team building there. It's not an idea; it's just something I've seen a lot of people propose. Like people propose of giving them those, which stemmed from the Dinobot one. But honestly, the only thing I've got is a quote unquote one character / two character idea and a battle card idea, which is just give Airrazor and Tigatron a combine effect, maybe when one of them dies or some other trigger that they either combine, making them a trifold card, or you bring a Tigerhawk in from outside the game or something like that. Just some condition has to be met to combine them into Tigerhawk. Just because awesome. That was something I always enjoyed was the Tigerhawk character and the two of them. I'm not sure what exactly abilities they would give, but maybe like you have to do like some kind of obnoxious thing, and specifically Tigerhawk's or Tigatron. No, Tigerhawk. That was right. Tigerhawk says you specifically cannot start on your team. It has to be brought in from outside the game. I don't know how annoying that would be for people collecting or trying to play draft, but it'd be a thing, and maybe just have pretty good stat line and good abilities. But then for battle card, we've gotten stuff like the Matrix Leadership. We've gotten the Decepticon Crown. We've gotten a decent amount of like the big items as cards. What about the Golden Disc? Give it, and because of the fact that it was used to predict the future, give it some ability where you could affect your draw. Like look at the top 3 cards, discard 2, put 1 back.
Be able to have access to like Shockwave's ability as a battle card.
No, I'm saying like you're affecting your draw, thus quote unquote affecting your future. Like look at the top 3. Discard 2, put 1 back.
Gotcha. Not that you know what the top card is at all times, but like you get focused during your draw step.
Yeah, right before you draw, you basically get to deck delve. But rather than drawing it into your hand and getting rid of 2 cards from your then getting rid of any 2 cards if you have dead cards, you're just impacting what your draw is going to be. So if you're looking for something specific, you can be like, okay, out of these 3, I want this. So a pseudo Perceptor ability just by pushing and being able to get the card you want out of a number of cards. But something like that to reference the fact that its main use was to change and figure out what was going to happen in the future.
That'd be like the first 2-star utility.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needed to be a 2-star utility. Maybe just give it we have 2 ways of making it weaker, which would be either like giving it stars or give it not great pips.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matter for something like that.
And then the one I'll be most curious about is I'm assuming when we get those cards, they will have to. I hope that they will be Maximals and Predacons. They will not be Autobots and Decepticons. That we will get. I think we have enough precedence to. Well, there's the one problem I have possibly with Kingdom in general is the fact that Kingdom as a set is they're probably going to throw in the Decepticons and Autobots because of the fact that that's what Kingdom seems to be. It's going to be that. And I know they've been saying they're going to give us Beast Wars, but I get the feeling that if they give us Beast Wars now, it's probably going to be a while before we get any more. The question is, are they going to give us enough support for Maximals and Predacons to be worth running, like giving them any cards? Like we got a couple of mercenaries, but to be fair, it's been a while since I've seen anybody playing any of the mercenaries. There's just not a lot to do with those. So like what kind of support cards could they really give them and take up a lot of space if it's only like 10, 11 Maximals and Predacons together? Yeah. As a card line separate from the toy line, I'm hoping that when Kingdom comes out as a card line, it's like, here is the Beast Wars wave with
plus like 5-6 Megatron, Optimus, all the
Yeah. Some characters that will keep people buying that are like strict G1 traditionalists.
Yeah,
But
do what they've done with a couple other sets. Give us characters that aren't getting new toys. But they're like, we'll never touch these characters otherwise, so let's do it now.
real quick,
could
Darkest
also-
Lair, you absolutely need to play the TCG more. I've got my webcam. I'm playing webcam games. Let me know when you want to play, because I'm down. Rob, what were you going to say?
They can also do stratagems and then use the opportunity with the Beast Wars characters. If they're full-size characters, they could do stratagems for things like Skyler mentioned with the Tigerhawk. They could have that be a stratagem where you bring Tigerhawk in when one of them dies, sort of like Sky Shadow.
Yeah.
But they could also use the stratagem in the cards in the packs to have the Titans Return characters that they didn't want to repeat because they were Battle Masters and stuff previously, like Trigger Happy and things like that. So they could actually bring in some Titan Masters and use that slot for those as well. So that would help them fill out the line outside of just the initial Beast Wars and maybe a few of the characters as like SRs that are a little more obscure.
Yeah, I'll be super curious. And you mentioned mercenaries. Like, I'm assuming Earthrise gets mercenary support in cards because we are getting Exhaust and we are getting Double Dealer. My assumption is that when we get to Kingdom as a card game, hopefully Wave 9, 2021, knocking on wood, that Tarantulas and Blackarachnia will be mercenaries.
I don't know if they really need to be mercenaries though, because they didn't really switch size. They were duplicitous in the same way that Starscream is. But Tarantulas especially, like, he never really switched sides. He was just kind of doing his own thing, but he wasn't playing both sides most of the time. Blackarachnia just eventually said, "Okay, screw this. I'm completely going to switch the sides." So I don't know if giving them the mercenary tag, especially when we're also saying that they need to do the maximal and Predacon tag to also then take some of the Beast Wars characters that could possibly be given this tag that we'll probably not be seeing a lot of in the future, and making them mercenaries seems kind of to me.
It might be trying to squeeze too much. I mean, we never know. It could be the sort of thing where like they get a certain tag, but then they can interact with Maximals or Predacons in a certain way. But you might be right that it might just, like, trying to get 5 factions in one wave is probably pushing it.
Yeah, I think at best, I think they can maybe do like I said, there's maybe like three Decepticons, 3 Autobots, and let the rest of them be Maximals, Predacons. Just because as a card set, it doesn't need to be as tied down by the other set. But then, that might affect the sales of that set for the Beast Wars haters. But
they could easily keep them as the factions and just use tags for Maximal and Predacon.
Traits, yeah.
But if they do that trait, though, then that's gonna take up space, because generally they only have about 3 traits. So if they each get the Predacon Maximal trait, then that also affects the room that they would have to potentially get the. Let's take Optimus Primal. He would have to get the Maximal tag, so there's 1. He would probably be melee, that's 2. And then
Leader.
I was going to also say Beast Mode, that'd be 3, if they give him the Beast Mode tag, and don't pull an Optimus on him and say, like, oh, he's not a truck. Because it'd still be presumed that he would still get the Beast tag, so I feel like they can do a lot more with design space by just making it a faction tag instead, because they are technically a different faction.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, though, that also goes back to where I said Beast Mode, because if they just make cards that affect beasts, it would affect the beasts we have now plus Beast Mode characters, and then they could avoid having to have another tag for Beast, and it would also allow them to make new cards, development space for cards that flip to Beast Mode, so that you don't have people avoiding their... Like Cameron mentioned, the penalty for having them in bot mode. People would just avoid that by playing lots of rollouts and things like that, which specifically say bot to alt mode and stuff. So they could avoid using those if they do beast mode.
I think a lot of it's going to depend on just how they choose to use them in Kingdom. Because if they just decide, oh, this is a subgroup of Autobots and Decepticons from some other colony, like they've done with. I forget which planet it was in the IDW comics. Was it the place where? Yes, the place with, I think it was Onyx Prime.
Onyx Prime went there, and they had that awesome Titan that was like a giant falcon.
if they do Kingdom, that would be an amazing Titan for them to do.
There's
as a
no way
pack-in.
they're doing that, but yes, I agree.
Listen, let me dream, Cameron.
I'm hoping Mastermind Creations just loses their fucking minds at some point, and they're like, why don't we make a Titan class figure? What's a cool Titan from IDW? Oh yeah, the Falcon.
Well, even if they don't do the toy, if they're gonna like, well, fuck, we can do a pack. We've started doing pack-ins for all the sets. Who could we do as a big pack-in when they've hit all the other the big obvious Titans by that point? They'd be like, fuck it, Bird.
Yeah, and this is getting kind of into the discussions that like we had with John Warden and stuff like that. But from a design perspective, it sounds like when they're done with Scorponok, based on what Hasbro has said previously, they're going to go back to Metroplex because it's been like 5 years since we got Metroplex, but who knows? But it would be like, that would be awesome. My hopes for the toy line would be the Bird, which won't happen, a Commander class big convoy, which won't happen, a Commander class tidal wave that turns into the whale from the Sins of the Wreckers, which won't happen. So I'm very hopeful.
What's the name of the one that was the like evil Titan that was used as a prison?
Oh gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know who you're talking about.
It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, Loki, Transformers Loki's prison. That's how I remember him. I guess we're gonna wrap things up. But any final thoughts on Kingdom or Beast Wars in terms of toy line or comics? Or Liege Maximo. Liege Maximo is the name.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Liege Maximo is the Prime, and his prison was called. Oh, it's gonna bother me so much now. Betrayed by Micronus Prime.
Vigilum?
Vigilum, yes, Vigilum. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, back on point. Yeah, as far as the toy stuff, I'm hoping that at least a couple of the figures, or even just maybe like two of them, have a pack-in golden disc to use, because that'd be a really nice thing to use in the set. Maybe give Dinobot one that's broken in half, and give, if they do Beast Wars Megatron, give Beast Wars Megatron one that's not broken.
Okay, so I don't get mad as a fan, because like it's toys and it's very low stakes. If they don't do Beast Wars Megatron, I'll be a little upset.
I guess it'll depend on the story that they do, because if they have that, again, that's one thing, and maybe that'd be a story point that they have is, if they decide to go with the time travel route of how the Beast Wars characters are showing up, then that'd be a pretty decent idea of having Megatron team up with Galvatron and Beast Wars Megatron, the fucking, I don't know, Tri-Megacus Council or something.
Yeah.
And just have them as a three wide villain team.
And in very children's cartoon fashion, the villains lose because the villain leaders can't get along, whereas the good guy leaders can use teamwork.
Well, I mean, would that happen realistically? Because I'm pretty sure that Beast Wars Megatron would be trying to, for lack of a better phrase, suck off the G1 Megatron, and I feel like the problem would come from Galvatron being a psycho.
Oh yeah, that's true. Beast Wars Megatron is like very much an acolyte. If it is like the G1 Beast Wars cartoon, then G1 Megatron's not too happy with like the Tri-Predagus Council.
It's something like that. Also, I want to point out something real quick to somebody in the comment. They said, will they make the alien golden disc? Fun fact, the golden disc is not an alien thing. It's based on the Voyager golden record, which is something that was actually launched aboard both the Voyager spacecrafts in the 70s.
Yeah, here, it's the cover for the record. So here's the golden record. This is what the actual record looks like. And then the cover right here is what is in Beast Wars. That's like the timeline, spoilers, the timeline is Transformers happens in the 1980s. Voyager goes out into space millions of years later, thousands of years later, however long.
Well, Voyager would have gone out before but
it's out in space. It gets picked up by Maximals in the far future, and they have it, And that's why Megatron is able to, like, it gives him information about Earth, which lets him control the flow of time, because he can do smart things with knowing about Earth. There were
or in the Transformers universe, they launched it after Megatron had already landed. He snuck some info on there. I'm unsure.
Are we forgetting something? Was there an alien golden disc? Someone's saying there were 2 golden discs.
There were 2 discs, but I thought one of them was a copy of the other one, because they sent out, I thought, multiple golden discs in reality.
They sent 2.
Despite its uncanny similarity to the Voyager disc, there is no known connection between the 2, is what TF Wiki says. Oh, this is...
Oh, yeah, there is the alien golden disc. That's right. There's the Vaka disc.
That's what we're talking about. Gotcha. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that. No, that's a Super Mr. Cage and TF Fan Geek. That's a super good point. Or the Collector 75. That's a super good point. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
But does that look like the one on the poster?
No.
No. That's the human one. Collector 75 was asking, do we think that the alien disc will make it into the toy line as an accessory or something?
I don't think so.
It's less iconic than the Voyager one.
I feel like plus it's only in, I think, like 1 episode, and I don't think they even discuss it that much. Yeah. I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I guess parting thoughts on Beast Wars and Kingdom.
I'm excited. I think if they do it right, it will be very good, and I think that it might, I guess for lack of a better term, redeem Beast Wars in the eyes of people who just absolutely can't stand it.
I don't think that's going to help, because if somebody already has the predisposition to dislike Beast Wars to the point where, and I swear I saw this comment on the Facebook group, quote, if they add Beast Wars characters, I'm selling my cards from the game. You're not going to convince them. You're not going to be able to sway them back over to the other side. They've had literally 25 years to do that, to sway back the other way, and they haven't taken it. I don't think that this series is going to do anything. If anything, it's just going to energize them more and piss them off.
I'm talking about like redeeming people who actually care to be interested in it affairs, not like the people who will hate it purely because it's not cars and planes.
Like a fresh introduction.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it could also invigorate some people who haven't really paid attention to the Transformers series in a while, because I know the Beast Wars is something I always have liked a lot, and I feel like if they did something with that when I was younger, like maybe when I was in high school, I probably would have bought some Transformers figures at that time. Like, oh shit, they brought Beast Wars stuff back. Let me go buy a Dinobot. So it could also bring in some people who maybe have stepped away from from Transformers for a long time. Like, wait, Beast Wars is back? Huh? Yeah. Maybe I should go check that out.
Yeah.
So the question is, which is going to outweigh the other? The people returning or coming into it versus people who jump ship even though they don't need to.
I think the people who will be mad are going to be Bayformer fans. I think now that we understand that Kingdom is going to be Beast Wars, the shift of the studio series line to the animated movie from 1986 makes so much more sense. At first, when we heard about it, I was like, oh god, now we're going to have Generations as G1 and studio series as G1. There's nothing that's not G1. What the hell? And then, I'm not a fan of the Michael Bay movies, but I respect that there was something out there that wasn't necessarily G1. But now that it's like, oh no, next year is going to be Beast Wars.
But now it seems like we're getting less of that.
Yeah. And next year is going to be Beast Wars, so they're pivoting the other lines. So I get it. G1 brings home the bacon currently from a demographic perspective. So that pivot makes sense. But I couldn't be more excited. I am so pumped that we're getting a dedicated Beast Wars line. I picked up every Generations Beast Wars figure I think we've gotten so far. I broke my rule about having one representation of the character because I gotta have all the Beast Wars masterpieces. I'm super excited, and speculation about the card game at this point is only valuable in how much fun it is, but I'm super excited about what we'll see on the horizon in the card game.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time to see how people respond to this, what people do. Also, somebody the comment about the alien disc made me realize Maybe just make that the stratagem that makes Tigerhawk. I'm sorry, I'm stuck on Tigerhawk. They did Tigerhawk dirty.
Hey, I just did, and I'm gonna. I reached out. I think I'm gonna have an interview with the Transformers TCG design team soon, specifically to talk about like how they've changed philosophy on combiners. So I would be super excited now that we've seen Sky Shadow to see what sort of shenanigans Tigerhawk can get up to.
He was strong as hell on the show. Like he was probably one. I think if it wasn't for the Nemesis,
took on a battleship. Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for the Nemesis being, the Nemesis, he probably could have taken on the entire side of the Predacons by himself.
Yeah.
He literally buried Megatron to go right up in his face. I will bury you, and he did.
Yeah.
So just give him like a really annoying combined condition. But if you manage it, then he gets like stupidly good stats.
Kind of like an improved Volcanicus.
Volcana who?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with this card that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. I did want to mention one more time. That's not the image I wanted. My Extra Life page. I am raising money for Cincinnati Children's Hospital. There's a link in the description below. Hopefully, if I didn't forget it. If you guys go in and you guys are interested, I mean, Skyler and Robb already know all this. But my goal is to raise $2,000. We're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream on November 7th. I'm halfway to my goal, and I'm doing a bunch of giveaways. So if you check out the page, if you want not free stuff, but if you want trinkets and tokens and stuff, like I talked about halfway through, it's not halfway through the stream now, a third of the way through the stream, you can click over here if you donate a certain amount and you'll get like a Transformers TCG token. There's also a Transformers TCG raffle with all sorts of raffle prizes. I talked about the super rares from Titan Masters Attack. I am giving away in the raffle, I've got a prize for a booster box for Titan Masters Attack. And I've got toys that I'm giving away, some Generation Selects figures, some more that'll be revealed in the short time in the future. So if you guys check out my Extra Life and you want to help sick kids and win some prizes, I appreciate all the help that you guys can provide. The last thing is... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and also just to add in again, when we're not in the middle of the discussion, once again, congratulations on 600 subscribers.
Yeah, and because of that, I guess that's the last segue, is I am giving away the Transformers Titan Masters Attack booster box right here. This one is not part of the fundraiser. This one is just because we hit 600. So thanks so much, guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening and subbing and all that stuff. Thanks for donating, and thank you, Skyler and Robb, for joining me and chatting.
Always a pleasure. Now let me out of your basement.
Yeah. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Well, I'm obviously not leaving.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Right.
And I think we're off the air. I can never tell when we'll stop.
It takes a while to catch up.
Yeah.